Alright, so we're back at it with another, what's it called? Differences in our lives. Brother versus sister, basically. Right?
Sibling versus sibling.
Yeah,
the rivalry.
So, basically. So, this time we're talking about chores and what we had to do. And basically how chores was in, let's say, Asian culture. Right?
Yeah.
But I do want to say this first. It's not completely accurate because it's what we've experienced, what our friends experience, and that's about it. And it's not like broad spectrum, whatever, right? So let's begin with just chores in Asian culture. At least how ours were, right?
Yeah.
We are two siblings, so our family had two children, and we're about like a year apart. So the chores that we had to do varied because of other issues, not just our age, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if our parents didn't want us doing something, or if one of the parents didn't want us doing something, we wouldn't do it. While, let's say, for example, one of our other friends, the sister was more, how would you say it? Like, more of the favorite, right? Favorite of the two. That's kind of bad to say. Yeah. So the younger son did more of the chores, while the older one didn't do as much.
Yeah.
Right? And then I also think if there's more children in the factor, then it would also depend on like age, right? Mm. The older person did more, then I think the second oldest would do a little bit more, and I think usually the youngest is more spoiled, more loved by...
The attention is all on them, right?
Yeah. So they did a lot less.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's a lot of factors that like went into like who did the chores in the house. But that's why I'm wondering if there's like a general theme. But I feel like this is one topic where I'm like, I really don't think so. Like it really just depended on the parenting style.
Yeah.
And like who was born first, and like you know how there's like quote unquote like not problem children, but like just people who like rebel more and like talk back more, and that just depended on like who they are and their age. So I'm always like, yeah, who ended up doing chores? Because our case is so particular.
It was very different. There's like very, very weird reasonings to why some things we're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look on social media, you see all those Asian memes, right? The ones where you have to do this because your parents would beat your ass even though you're 27.
Yeah.
Right? That basically does... I feel like that's the more general theme in every Asian culture, where it's like, if you didn't do what your parents said, they're going to beat you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also similar to ours, where if you didn't do it, they'll lecture you, they'll yell at you. If you're
even when you do it, they yell at you and they lecture you.
Yeah, and I think that's more of the general theme, while... age, the amount of people in your family.
And, like, favoritism.
And favoritism also plays a role, but it's, like you said, dependent on the parenting style of the parents themselves, right? Yeah. So, I guess that's very different than our family, because let's kind of go more into that, where it's like, what did you mean when... there was a particular reason. Yeah. Everything was so particular.
Yeah. So I don't know if this happened to anyone else, but like we were yelled at for doing chores and for not doing chores by different people in our family.
Yes.
So it's very particular. Like, so like, for example, it's like, even when I was young, it's like, I really don't mind washing dishes, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's that kind of thing where like, so basically, like sometimes it's like, people already fight over dishes. Like just our family members already fight over who washes the dishes.
Right.
Because people think that other people can do it as well.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the same thing applied to us. So when I was younger and it was like, okay, it's fine. Like I'll just wash the dishes. Like mom, like you can just go to sleep. Like I got, like honestly, like we never were mad at chores. Like it's like just let me do it. But then this other like person would like like other like older member of our family would be like, no, you shouldn't do it. Like, you can't wash your dishes, right? So like it's kind of weird because it wasn't until like we were like much older, I think like in high school or something.
Was it high school? I think
so.
Close to the end of high school.
Yeah, close to end of high school where like us washing the dishes was like a normal thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how I was kind of like, everyone has done chores, right? But we don't do that. Like we had, like it was just not allowed. It was just such a hassle to do chores where it's
That's
like,
why.
Okay, y'all, if y'all have such a big problem with it, you can do it.
That's
you
why. Like, if you do chores, you get yelled at. So it gets to the point where, to prevent getting yelled at, to avoid that, you just don't do anything. Right? And I honestly feel really bad because when I was talking to some people, right, like some of my friends or relatives, they did ask, or in school, right? I think one of the greatest example I remember is in school, a high school, a teacher asked, do you do chores? Do you take out the trash? Do you wash your own clothes? Right? Everyone, you know, because it's high school, everyone's put on the spotlight. Raise your hand if you wash clothes, right? And me being in high school and me not wanting to get, you know, insulted, raised my hand for a couple of them. Just out of like BS, right? I don't want to be that random person that gets bullied because it's high school. But in all honesty, I didn't do chores. Because many of them are their reasoning to why they do chores is their parents want them to, their parents get angry if they don't, blah, 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 right? Well, our case, like we said, was we get yelled at for doing chores.
Yeah.
Or if we do chores, it starts a fight, and we don't even know why.
Yeah.
So we just don't. Like, washing clothes, I have never washed my clothes up until college.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you saying?
Sorry, I was just thinking, I was like, wait, like doing those things and them not doing those things for us was used as like, I don't care about you anymore.
I think so, honestly.
Yeah, like, and that's why, like, we never fought it. It was like, okay, like, they fight us if we do it because they're like, oh, this is because, like, we care about you. And we're like, no, we just want you to rest or what. At least this happened for me. And then afterward, they're like, I'm never helping you again. Like, when they get mad at me, and they're like, I'm never helping you again. You're going to do everything on your own. I'm like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And you think of it as like, oh, that's good. If they don't help me, then I could do my own thing, right? That's actually really good. I never thought about that.
Yeah, but I think that was the difference between the two of us. Where, like, they'd constantly say that to me, and at one point I just ended up doing it on my own, right? Because either way, I still get yelled at. But then it's like, okay, I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was so interesting. But yeah, people in school ask you that? Like, teachers ask that? For what reason?
Okay, this teacher was very, I wouldn't say he's mean, right? I had a really good relationship with him. And people in class knew that I had a good relationship with him because he gave me A's for doing a project wrong. I remember that. Everything he said don't do, I did it, and we got an A-. While people who did it better got like a B. So I know I was favored, right?
Favoritism travels
he was
throughout.
also, how'd you say it? A little, like, mean. To, like, I can't say...
Insensitive?
No. I don't want to use the word, right? But he's basically a dick.
Censor that out, beep.
Yeah. Right?
No.
But he basically had that attitude, right? So he would pick on people, he would make jokes, right? But no one took it offensively. Because he didn't really mean it offensively, he just made it as, like, jokes. Right? It wasn't, like, insensitive jokes. He would just pick on people.
Like, tease them.
Yeah. Like, oh, who did chores? Oh, you didn't do chores? Wow, you don't have to do anything, huh? It's basically like that.
And you're like,
I don't
raise your hand.
Teased.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, I get teased enough and you're that at home.
Yeah. So I guess my version of what you experienced was a little bit different. It was, I wasn't allowed to do anything because I was the younger child. I was more favored. Everyone wanted my love. Even though I wasn't given love by the parents. Right? If you think about it, right? Really, really sad.
Everyone wants to suffocate you with love.
Yeah. But they also didn't give me the love anyways.
They didn't give you the love that you needed.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically everything.
We're so sad.
Right? So anyways, you said they didn't allow you to do stuff, or if you did it on your own, they would just kick you out basically. They didn't want you to like, oh, you're bad, whatever. Right? For my case, it was, don't do it. I'll do it for you. And if I did it, they would basically guilt trip me into saying basically the same thing, right? They're like, oh,
you don't let me love you.
Yeah. Basically, it's the same thing. They would do that to me.
Yeah.
And then I would feel guilty because if when you're younger and you don't understand what they mean and you can't think of it in a certain way, you kind of take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I would take it the wrong way. So, okay, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to start fights. I don't want you to get upset, whatever. So I just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? And it gets to the point where in college was the first time I did my own clothes.
Like laundry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It wasn't hard, but I also wasn't allowed to do it when I was at home.
Yeah.
So it was also kind of weird for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had, I think when I was 17 or something in high school, that was when I was taught how to do laundry by one of our cousins.
Yeah. And then I remember she was like, you don't know how to do this? I'm like, no.
No one taught us how to do it. No. It's not even no one taught us.
No one allowed us. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very weird. And I think another thing where it's like taking out the trash.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. It was
that was so sad. I feel bad, right?
Yeah.
Because no one takes it out. It's heavy, right? Our dad doesn't take it out. Our mom takes out the trash.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Because I know it's heavy. I don't want anyone to come home from work and they're tired and they still have to take it in the trash.
Yeah.
But I get yelled at for taking the trash out and taking trash in.
Yeah.
So then I'm kind of...
On both sides.
Yeah.
On either one that you do.
So if I don't take it out or I don't bring it back, I get yelled at by my mom. Saying, oh, why didn't you take it back from me? I have to do it when I get home. Oh, guilt tripping me now. Now I feel bad. But if I take it out, someone else says, why do you have to do it? Wait for your mom to do it. I'm like...
Yeah.
I'm getting yelled at by two people.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Because that's why I was like, does this happen in other families? Because, like, honestly, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Right? But then, like, I was like, but then other chores, like, certain people will, like, tell me to do it, like, immediately. Like, oh, go take your parents' clothes back in or something. Like, from the line outside where they dry it. Like, it's just specific things that they want us to do.
Yeah.
Right? But then that's the thing, I'm like, what is going on? Half the time I'm like, what is going on? But I think that's why, like it felt, like, almost embarrassing when, like, I don't know if this happened to you, but, like, I had so much anxiety, and I still have so much anxiety doing the most simplest, like, of chores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, washing the dishes. Like, I know, like, I feel like, obviously, it's, like, I think they insult me a little bit more. I don't know if it's because I'm older or if I'm the sister or the older sister in general, but, like, it's kind of like washing laundry, washing the dishes, taking out the trash. Like, they're just so particular about everything that it's like when I do it on my everyday, like when I first did it, like I was like, oh my God, I'm doing everything wrong. Yeah. What is this?
I think that's also someone did say it. Like, one of my bosses did tell me, right? He asked me, oh, are you hesitating and overthinking everything because you weren't allowed to do it? As a kid, oh, your parents did everything? And that kind of got me thinking. They didn't actually they did do a lot of things for me, but it's more so that if you did it, and not their way, like you said, a particular weird way, you would get yelled at. So I think growing up, when we're doing it, like the super simple washing dishes, washing clothes, taking out the trash, you feel like you're doing something wrong. And you feel like someone's gonna come yell at you. Someone's gonna come lecture you. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's how it affected us. Right? So... that's the interesting part. And that's what we're experiencing now that we're like a lot older.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I always wondered, I'm like, does this happen anywhere else? Is it just like very particular to our families?
I think everyone has their own problems because I know I can't, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna expose my friends, right? But I'm just gonna use it as an example. So one of my friends does all the chores. Everyone else doesn't. He is the youngest, and that's completely different from me.
Yeah.
Right? He gets yelled at for not doing chores. I get yelled at for doing chores.
Yeah.
So I think to an extent everyone has the same issues, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And it's all different. But in the end, like we said in the beginning, it's all the same. It's basically all the same.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your parents and do whatever they tell you. You get yelled at regardless of what you do. Right?
Yeah.
And someone's like this. I think this goes for everything, right? If you have multiple siblings, the amount of work you do is gonna be different, right?
Yeah.
Usually, like if you're older or like three kids, someone's gonna do more, someone's gonna do less, and I think that's the same that goes for every single Asian family.
Yeah.
And maybe even to other cultures, right?
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, chores in our family isn't that bad, but it's just parents kind of make it weird, and it does span to multiple other families as well.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. Yeah. Did you feel like when we were younger, like we were treated unfairly in terms of like this topic, like in terms of like doing the chores?
I don't really think it's treated unfairly. I think it's more basically just favoring, right? I can't say it's unfair because we both had our shares of difficulties from how they treated us.
Yeah.
Right? You were yelled at more for not doing stuff, and when you did do it, they would still yell at you. Right? They would just yell.
Yeah, or criticize me on how I do
And then for me, it was more guilt tripping. It was more basically everything they felt about each of us individually, they projected that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can't say it's unfair, because you had your struggles and I had my struggles. And in the end, we still do the chores. Like, when we moved out, you still did your chores. I still did my chores. We kept our place clean. So I don't really think it's unfair. Because if it's unfair, when you... I feel like if we had like an unfair role in the family doing chores, whatever, when you leave the house, when you go do it, one person would be doing most of the work. One person wouldn't be doing anything. And I feel like that's what would be called unfair.
Yeah, like you kind of carry what they taught you like to your new places, right?
Yeah.
Like especially since we're living together now, it would have shown in the way. But yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, I was just curious because I was like, obviously, like we see things from a different perspective because our parents view us very differently. Yeah. I think that's why I was like, this is one of the things where it's like, I don't think they're being sexist. I think they're just being very, very particular because of the roles that they play within this family. Like when you have like your like our mom's mom like there to also add in another set of voice, like another voice to like how they choose to raise us. I think that's why it was very unique. And like how we were treated and what we were expected to do in the house.
Yeah, so like three dominant voices telling us what to do. And as 4-year-old kids, we were given that amazing task of deciphering everything they said.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So, honestly, I want to know, to whoever's watching, right? I want to know. Or whoever's watching that stuck this far. Or you skipped to the end, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's like I want to know, is this similar to other
That's
people?
why I was so curious. I'm like, is it? I know that there's those memes, right? When they're like, you're like the kid, they have a picture of the kid just like, washing the dishes, and then like the parents like, why don't you do anything around the house?
Yeah. And yeah, that's why I kind of want to know. I really
Yeah.
want to know, is this similar to people?
Yeah.
Because some of my friends, I could say, oh, that's kind of similar, but you also don't know because you don't live their lives. You're not
Yeah.
home with them 24/7. So, honestly, yeah, let us know. Comment or send us a DM on social media. I
Yeah,
want to
it's
know.
so interesting.
Yeah. I want to see how different everyone is.
Yeah. Also, like I always wonder, like, how does this tie in with like, okay, child labor, basically, right? Like, I'm like weird kids with like parents who had their own business, obviously, because
Yeah.
like in this kind of society, like you kind of like minority groups and low income people kind of have to go and make their own businesses to survive. And it seems like a lot of other like Asian like community members like that we know like also have parents who have their own business. And I think that's the thing where like the common thread of comments was always like, oh, you didn't work when you were like super young, like just like a 10-year-old just like doing like working in the shop for them and stuff. So I'm wondering if that's kind of there. It's like chores and like doing the work and like helping out like, even when you're young is like expected, right? But it was very unique in our case
Yeah.
where it's like it was expected, but at the same time like someone else yelled at us for doing it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like there's two very very strong opposing forces in our family where like we just ended up being caught in the middle of it and not doing
Yeah.
anything at all. So yeah, it's very interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know, what do you think?
I don't know. But yeah, and anyway, y'all should comment and message. So let us know, right?
Yeah, we would love to continue the conversation.
Yeah, that'd be fun. People message us, that'd be fun.
Are you lonely?
No. Why'd I be lonely? I just think it's interesting, different perspectives, man.
Sure, whatever you say.
All right, so thank you for listening. Yeah, follow us on social media.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Pretty
subscribe
sure this
or
was
comment.
a whole part of us complaining and figuring out what the differences were. But I would love to hear the differences of like other people's family, especially our siblings or like number of siblings and stuff. Because like our pair is kind of like we have an older sister and we have like a younger brother, but we also have like someone who lived with us who was our older sister who kind of like also took care of a lot of the chores and stuff. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Cool.